My name is Elizabeth Warren, and I'm the chair of the Congressional Oversight Panel.
In the early 2000s, Elizabeth Warren was a Harvard law professor. She had no real national profile when she was selected to be on the Congressional Oversight Panel. This is why it's so extraordinary that she became Elizabeth Warren in the way that we know her. Now we need to remember, Barack Obama won the presidency just weeks after Congress had felt the need to pass $700 billion in a bank bailout. It was considered the worst financial situation since the Great Depression.
Major financial institutions have teetered on the edge of collapse.
This is going to be one of the watershed days in financial markets history.
During the bankruptcy fights, she's on this academic National Bankruptcy Commission. It produces a huge report that advises Congress what to do to change bankruptcy laws, which hadn't been updated since the 70s. Congress does change the bankruptcy laws in 2005, but it largely ignores the Commission's recommendations. Warren saw that as the power of money in politics, the power of banks in politics. She gets this opportunity to chair the oversight panel looking over the bank bailout. And she comes back to DC with a head full of steam. She had determined that sometimes the only way to get the people on your side, to get Congress on your side, is to be loud.
What kind of powers do you have to crush them? Do you have subpoena power? Do you have...
No, but look, what I can do is I can talk about this. And that's exactly what I am going to do.
It has the power to do two things. It has the power to write reports, and it has the power to hold hearings. Those monthly reports become monthly media tours.
If we don't have an underlying economy, we don't have consumers to go out and purchase goods and services, we don't have people doing jobs, we can't rebuild this system. Right now, right here in Washington, those same financial institutions are spending huge amounts of lobbying dollars. They like a business plan in which they keep all the profits and the taxpayers pick up all the losses.
And one of the ways that Elizabeth Warren becomes a hero of the left is in her grilling of Tim Geithner.
AIG has received about $70 billion in TARP money, about $100 billion in loans from the Fed. Do you know where the money went?
Absolutely. And the money that...
Well, maybe I should ask it. Maybe I should ask it with more specificity.
Time after time after time, she just lays into him, insinuates that he is on the side of big banks and not people.
Mr. Secretary, I'm familiar with all that you think you've done to support housing overall. Mr. Secretary, I come from a world of Chapter 11. People default all the time. They negotiate down on their obligations, and they do not bring down the entire
You're exactly right,
system.
and you're a national expert on this basic issue, and that's why. But banks are different. AIG is effectively a bank.
AIG was not a bank. I'm out of time, and I've done it to myself again. I apologize.
No, but this is good to have. Can we just can we do it a minute longer? It's very important to have. Very important debate to have.
Fine, I think that's fine.
Go at it, Mr.
You
Secretary.
can borrow my time.
She becomes, in some ways, an icon of the left. She then turns that platform and she uses that leverage in order to get an agency, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, into the financial reform known as Dodd-Frank. She says, I can either continue to look over Tim Geithner's shoulder for the next 10 months, or she says, I can lead the agency. Now the problem is that she almost certainly could not be confirmed. Most of the Senate did not like her. As she had ascended into progressive politics, she had become an incredibly divisive figure, not just on Wall Street, but in Washington. Barack Obama tries to find this middle ground. He says, I don't want to nominate you, but I want you to set it up. I want you to stand up. I want you to do the hiring. So he makes her a special assistant to the president, a special advisor to Tim Geithner, and gives her significant autonomy in order to set up the CFPB. Eventually, someone in Obama's White House comes up with a permanent fix. And they encourage her to run for the Senate seat that had opened up.
Wall Street CEOs, the same ones who wrecked our economy and destroyed millions of jobs, still strut around Congress, no shame, demanding favors.
She's elected senator, the first female senator of Massachusetts, and defeats Republican Scott Brown. To this day, there are still lingering tensions from both the Warren camp and from the Obama camp. Elizabeth Warren's activism and views in the financial rescue are being played out in many ways on the 2020 trail. They are having a debate over Obama's legacy, and the result of this primary, when Elizabeth Warren and Joe Biden are going against each other, may speak a lot about how Democrats feel about the former administration, even as they have a lot of goodwill towards the president himself.
And thanks for being here, Elizabeth.
Thanks for having me, Mr. President.